Basketball is a game of athleticism. There's no denying that. But to be honest, athleticism is a lot more than we'd consider it to be many times. Yes, vertical jump, speed, first step, and strength are all huge qualities. And of course, I train them daily with my athletes. But even if you're not the best raw athlete in the world, these are some qualities that can take your athleticism and game to the next level. Also, really quick, if you want to develop these advantages, I have the perfect plan for you. It's called my Ultimate Athleticism Program. This is a year-round program where you're going to be training some of these qualities that we're about to dive into. Let's check them out. So number one is deceleration. In a game where speed, getting up in the air, and power win quite often, deceleration may be just as important. Even in the NBA, the size of a half court is pretty small compared to most other sports. You don't have much space compared to soccer, football, etc. So the amount of decelerations and changes of direction is super high, since clearly you got to maneuver that court to not run into other players. Not only do you have to be able to put on the brakes super fast, but also make that next move right after that. And do this in a number of directions, not just forward and back. So this takes eccentric strength. In other words, being able to absorb force and doing it fast. Core strength and stiffness to stay strong through your upper body during this deceleration. And timing everything up to get it firing at the right time. Amongst many other things, of course. This isn't easy. Number two is being resistant to injury and just staying as available, injuryless, and pain-free as possible. Now, of course, there will always be injury and pain in basketball, so I'm not saying preventing these things, but avoiding them as much as we can. Basketball is a crazy high speed, high force, high reaction sport, and if we're not prepared for this, we're likely to be at risk for missing games, and that's a killer. I'm talking everything from the foot upwards, being mobile and strong. Being prepared for weird positions that we're naturally going to reach in basketball. Being strong enough for the demands of landing from 50 plus jumps a game. Being prepared to react and get our muscles firing at the perfect time as we're making a reaction in a split second. If we can get super robust to injury, we can spend more time on the court, more time training, and therefore have a better chance at reaching our dreams. Third is fluidity. I define this as moving as efficiently as possible around the court. If you're a fluid athlete, every motion feels easier than a non-fluid athlete's would. You float off the ground. You cover ground without having to really exert yourself too much. You're super coordinated and can pick up any movement you see. And we know fluid athletes when we see them. They just look like the game's easy for them. So what does this stem from? A lot of things. One is being mobile enough to move through these ranges of motion that the game requires. Like here, the hip internal rotation or thoracic spine mobility to get into a nice crossover, and then do it with speed and at high forces. Coordination is another one. Being able to time up our movements and place ourselves in the perfect positions, shin angles, trunk angles, foot positioning, to make them as efficient as possible. The stretch shortening cycle is also huge here. So this is the ability to store and release energy, or in other words, use our tendons to project us and move around. So we don't even have to primarily use our muscles, which zaps our energy pretty quickly. Even confidence comes into play here. Many times being confident actually helps athletes move with efficiency and thus fluidity. And this can actually help us from a conditioning standpoint too. Again, the less energy you spend on each movement, the less tired we get over the course of a game. It's like taking the parking brake off of our car. It makes it so much easier to move.
I'm gonna keep it real, I use DoorDash way too much to save time, which is why we've now partnered with DoorDash to make sure that you get on the wave as well. For a limited time, our viewers can get 50% off up to a $20 value, and $0 delivery fees when you download the DoorDash app and enter code by any means.
Lastly is an interesting one, and it's mid-air adjustments. Being able to get up in the air and adjust your plan of action from there. This doesn't even have to be anything crazy like 360 layups. It can literally just be a slight rotation. Maybe getting an unexpected bump and quickly bracing in the core to protect yourself. Finding momentum to finish on the way down. Or just switching hands, which takes a ton of coordination. So again, of course, strength, power, and vertical jump come into play big time. But we already spend so much attention on those. If you can develop these qualities as well, your game will take off. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at ByAnyMeansBasketball for a lot more. As always, appreciate you guys for tuning in and supporting.
Don't forget, that's code by any means for 50% off up to a $20 value and $0 delivery fees with DoorDash. That's 50% off up to a $20 value and $0 delivery fees when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code by any means. Subject to change, terms apply.